by the late 60s was there was 200,000 American troops in Vietnam, and they were secretly bombing Cambodia. In the civil rights movement, we had already gone through the battles of integrating lunch counters, and now we were fighting the battles to integrate UCLA and the higher education institutions because the doors were closed at that time to people of color. The farm workers had marched on Sacramento and talked about their issues as Cesar Chavez in '68 went to Delano to start the strike boycott, great boycott, with the Filipino farm workers who started it back in '68, people like Philip Vera Cruz, people like Larry Itleong. This was the context in which Manzanar was refound. Because we were talking about in the Asian Pacific American community, in our political movement, doggone it, there was a march on Washington. They had already marched on the Capitol in Sacramento, and we got to march somewhere. We got to march somewhere, that's all we knew. And thank goodness on the way, we did it with people like Sue Embry, who were able to come with us and start filling in all of the questions and the open space that we had, because there wasn't many books at that time. Only one, it was called America's Concentration Camp, that was a book on this experience. So we had to find it ourselves. But an important point to make, and I would like to leave you with, is that this wasn't, again, done in a vacuum. What Manzanar is about is not only about the Japanese American or the Asian Pacific Islander American community, it's about the American community. It's about looking at what took place and what was going on, and why Japanese were put in camp was why a lot of things were happening then and even happening today. But the point that's important, in my opinion, as we look at these things, it has to be from a perspective, a political perspective, in my opinion. So I direct your attention when you leave to the bronze plaque at the front of Manzanar. They moved it. It used to be on the guardhouse, but it's now to the side. But I want you to read that plaque, because what it is about, it's about looking at the experience from our perspective. We don't have relocation center in there. We don't have assembly center in there. We don't have relocation camp. We call it what we thought it was from our perspective, which is a concentration camp. And I know people would say at that time, wait a minute, he's called those camps concentration camps. The Jewish people didn't call it concentration camps, they called them death camps. It's a matter of perspective. And I think that's true today. Much of which that's going on after 9/11, looked at through a political lens, harkens back to much of what took place during this period of history that put Japanese Americans, American-born citizens, and legal aliens in camp. People's rights were snatched from them. People's studies and learnings that they did about American democracy dissolved in the reality of the political times and what took place. That's what's going on, in my opinion, today as well. An important need for all of us, from our perspective, from how we view it, by talking to our sisters and brothers in the Arab American community, asking them what's happening in their community since 9/11, what's happening relative to hate crimes, what's happening relative to people being incarcerated and detained without their legal rights because of the Patriot Act.